Okay, so this is 5.2, similar polygons. Okay, for proportional parts in triangles and parallel lines, we want to make sure that we first set up proportions based on what we know from the diagram. So if I'm given this triangle here, and I'm telling you that BC is parallel to DE, I'm giving you some information as well that AD is 5, AE is 12, DE is 13, and then I'm also telling you that BC is 26, AC is X, and BA is Y. So first, I want to set up some proportions here. So I know that 13 relates to that 26, right? Both of these are on the same part here, okay? They're also parallel. So I know that this is true. I also know that I can set this equal to, now we want smaller on top, so I'm going to say 12 over x. 12 over x. So I know that this is 12 and this was 13. If the 13 corresponds to the 26, 12 corresponds to x. So if we go ahead and solve for x, we'll do that in a minute. The other proportion we can do is still going to be 13 over 26, but this time we're going to use the other side. So 13 to 26 as 5 is to y. So now let's go ahead and solve for x and y. So 13y is equal to 5 times 26, 130. So y has to equal 10. Again, over here we have 13x is equal to 12 times 26, which is 312, or x is equal to 24. Something else you could have seen, well, 13 over 26, how does that relate? Well, 13 over 26 is equal to a half. Isn't that a lot easier? 1/2 is equal to 12 over x. Well, x has to equal 24, okay? So that's exactly the same thing that we got there. You could have done the same thing on this side as well. Okay, similar polygons. Similar polygons are when two geometric figures have the exact same shape, so that means that they're similar. Two congruent polygons are also similar polygons, right? Because two congruent polygons would have the exact same shape, but they also go one step farther and have the same size. So for two similar polygons, it is necessary that each angle of the polygon be congruent to the corresponding angle in the other polygon. So let's think about it. Which angles correspond? Well, corresponding angles would be angle A and angle F, B and D, D and G, and then C and H. Those are our corresponding angles. Corresponding sides would be AD and FG, AB and EF, BC and EH, and then DC and HG. Okay, two polygons are similar if we remember what this if stands for, if and only if. We have two important things. All pairs of corresponding angles are congruent and all pairs of corresponding sides are proportional. So if I tell you that A is congruent to F and C is congruent to H, and let's say D is congruent to G, are these similar? Yes, right? Because all of this has to have 360 degrees, so you know right away that those would have to be congruent. So all pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So now this is telling me that all pairs of corresponding sides are proportional. So this is telling me that AD over FG, remember those are corresponding, has to equal to, let's say, AB over FE, which has to equal to BC over EH, which has to be equal to CD over HG. It doesn't matter the order of the letters, as long as we make sure that if we're dealing with the smaller shape and the larger shape, that the smaller stays on either the top or the bottom, and then the larger shape is on either the opposite top or bottom, right? So this is small by large. So we can think about this in a couple ways. So if I have two rectangles, all right, they don't look different sizes, but they are, okay? Let's say that this is 3 and 7 for this one, and then 9 and 21. Okay, so this tells me that I have to check all the sides. 3 is to 9, as 7 is to 21, as 3 is to 9, as 7 is to 21. Well, yeah, that's all reduces to 1/3. So since all 4 of the sides are proportional, and all of the angles are equal, right, because I know that all the right angles are equal, that these are similar. Now let's look at a different shape. Let's say I have two trapezoids. And I have 2, 5, 3, and 7. And then I have another one. That's 3, 6, 4, and 8. So let's see, let's compare. So 2/3, so if I'm telling you these are congruent, okay, then 2/3 has to be equal to 5/6, which has to be equal to 3/4, which has to be equal to 7/8. Are those true? No. So these are not similar. These are similar. Okay, now last but not least, some word problems. So here's one. Darnell is curious about the height of a flagpole that stands in front of his school. Darnell, who is 6 feet tall, casts a shadow that he paces off at 9 feet. He walks the length of the shadow of the flagpole a distance of 30 feet. How tall is the flagpole? So let's see. I have a person, and I have a flagpole. Okay, so if I look here, okay, so this guy is 6 feet. His shadow is 9 feet. The flagpole's shadow is 30 feet, and how tall is it? Well, I don't know. We'll call it X feet. So now we can set up some proportions. This corresponds to this. This corresponds to this. So 6 over X is equal to 9 over 30. Or you could have set it up as 6 over 9 is equal to X over 30. Either way, you're going to get the same answer, okay? So if I do this, I get that 9X is equal to 180, or X equals 20. So how tall is the flagpole? The flagpole is 20 feet tall.